In this week's video, we're going to build a talk box. Talk box simply modulates the sound of an instrument. Since the early 1900s, talk boxes have been used on pedal steel, electric guitar, synthesizer, and keyboard. They really sound great. There's not much to them, and there's no reason you can't build one at home. When you're using a talk box, you want your signal to go into it. It is then amplified inside of it. The horn driver will then play the music through the hose. You put the hose in your mouth, and as you play, you change the shape of your mouth so you can modulate the sound of the notes that you're playing. The way that this is amplified after that would be to use a vocal mic. So you're going to be playing into an amp that's shooting sound into your mouth that you're shaping with your mouth in front of a vocal microphone. Sounds weird, but it's super cool. Let me introduce you to the parts that are involved in building a talk box. First, you have your jack that passes your signal from your instrument, and you also have a power supply. This is just an inexpensive 12-volt DC power supply. That power supply will power this amplifier. This was inexpensive 40-watt solid-state amplifier. We have a DC barrel jack that will fit this power supply. Then I have a bass blocker at 400 Hertz. I'm going to wire this in to protect my voice coil. Now this is a horn driver. So in large PA systems, this would actually have a horn mounted on it. So you just need the driver for a horn. This right here is the Selenium D250X. It's an inexpensive horn driver. Attaching to the horn driver, I have this adapter I found some years back on eBay. I bought a couple of these, but you should be able to find a horn driver adapter. And I have taken some flex hose from Lowe's, and I used a section of larger flex hose to make a little junction there. So this is the two. And then finally, this is the enclosure, and I have a LED lighted switch that will power on and off the amplifier. So let's go ahead and get started building this thing. The first thing to deal with is the fact that this Hammond enclosure is a little too narrow to quite fit the horn driver. So I'm actually going to grind off a little bit off of each of these sides so I can nestle it all the way down in there. I'm going to mask off and protect the capsule in here so it doesn't get any shavings in there. But it shouldn't be any problem to just grind a little bit off each side of this. Alright, looks like that took care of it. Now we need to make a mark. There and here. At this point, you're going to do what you need to do to get the hole as big as you need it. I have a chassis punch that I'm going to use. Alright, so whatever it takes to get that hole the right size, you can use a grinder. I used a chassis punch, but ultimately, this is what matters. Now we want to go back and make sure that this is going to fit with our grinding that we've done. And it's a tight fit, but definitely fits. I really didn't even need to knock as much off as I did. I just shaved a tiny little bit off each side to make it fit. So now I'm going to build a gasket to go inside of this, and so that this can clamp down and make a good seal and not rattle inside. I also want to make another gasket for right here where the hose connector attaches, so no air leaks past it, so it's not metal on metal. Perfect. Alright. I'm just going to use some 3M double stick on this rather than put 4 more holes in there. If you wanted this to be really secure, you could cut some pass-through holes and screw that in there. But I think it'll be fine to use a strong double-sided adhesive. All right. This thing turned out great. One thing I noticed after I finished it was that I needed to use isolated jacks for the power and the signal input to cut down on some of the noise in the little amp that we used. Another thing is that the amp was meant to receive a line level signal, so it would be best if you're going to play with a guitar to use a fuzz pedal or an overdrive, something that will give you an ability to boost that volume a little bit to hit it a little harder. Also, guitar sounds a little better with some overdrive through a Talkbox. Now, if you're using a synth or a keyboard, you can just plug right into it and it'll sound fantastic without having a little boost before it. I'm using the Timmy pedal because the Timmy gives me options for bass and treble cut, so I can kind of shape the sound that I want. Now I'm going to give you a demo. I'm not good at this. It's harder than it looks. So you can get wah-like sounds out of it, obviously, and the more challenging thing is to actually talk.